Hey fools, friends and family, loved ones, how you doing? Hey, so it is a good day today, and it's so fertile and so full of possibilities. And I was just sharing, I just got done recording like part one. This is part two, part two of part five. I don't know how that makes sense, but it does. So, yeah, I've been working through my process of forgiveness and received quite a lot of gifts and blessings through this work and through this great work of alchemy. I play practice. Yeah, this growth and discovery and like honoring of me, of who I am for all of me, for all of we. Yeah, to be full, to be free, to be whole and complete. Like to be what I already am, to be all I already am, to be as I am, to be who I am, to be all I am for all of me. And yeah, it's been an awesome discovery. And wow, what else can be said about everything, man? Everything. It's been everything. So I've been wanting to share a couple of symbols that have been coming up today. And yeah, I just flipped open my Science and Symbols Sourcebook by Adele Nozedar. And I wanted to go over the Merkaba first because that's come up several times. Yeah, a handful or more times in the last couple days. So this is just a short little description here of Merkaba, and then we'll go on to the Star of David. So, in the Kabbalistic tradition, all 10 of the qualities of the Tree of Life are collectively referred to as the Merkaba, the chariot of God. This mystical chariot gives God the power to descend from heaven to enter the souls of men. The symbol shown here is used as a meditative focus to attain the state of mind and spirit necessary to achieve union with the elements of the Tree of Life and so become part of the collective spirit of the cosmos. I'm not sure if you can see right there. Merkaba. And so the next one, the Seal of Solomon, or what's known as the Star of David. Right there. And then also there's a sigil. This one is the sigil of Ameth. And so, yeah, let's see what it has to say about Seal of Solomon. So I just flipped open my book yesterday, and that's the page that it landed on. And also known as the Star of David or the Magen David, the Seal of Solomon is a hexagram, a symbol whose outward simplicity hides a complex and layered inner meaning. There are several different versions of the Seal of Solomon, but in the most basic form, it consists of two interlocking equilateral triangles forming a six-pointed star. The easiest way to understand many symbols is simply to look closely at its component parts and see what they appear to be. The upward pointing triangle looks like a flame, and this is exactly what it represents. In most basic form, this triangle is the elemental symbol for fire. The Western tradition, the Eastern tradition, the Kabbalah, alchemy, all are agreed. There is also agreement about the other triangle that balances on its point. It represents water. It's fire and water. Fire is the male element and water is female. The inverted triangle is also the symbolic representation of the yoni. In India, the hexagram is called the Shaktkona and represents the energies of Shiva and Kali locked in constant embrace. Imagine that the star is cut across the middle. On the left side is the element of air, and on the right side is earth. Further, the qualities of fire and water are represented: hot and dry, and moist and cold. Already, this simple symbol is taking on different dimension as the star becomes a map of opposing forces which combine to make all living things, and is the symbolic epitome of the phrase "as above, so below." More prosaically, the Star of David has been used as a symbol for alcohol, quite literally, fire water. In alchemy, the Star of David is a reminder of the 7 planets and the 7 basic metals. At the top is silver, the moon. Then, moving around the points of the star in a clockwise direction, are copper, Venus, Mercury, lead, Saturn, Jupiter, tin, and Mars, iron. In the central space, also called the quintessence, are the sun, gold. Sometimes the seal will acknowledge the central space with a dot or a Taoist symbol. Alchemists are very fond of concealing their symbols in some way, and sometimes the star is disguised as a 6-petaled flower. It is hidden in this way in the curious alchemical tome, the Mutus Liber, as its name implies. This silent book has no words but consists of a series of pictures that describes the process of making the philosopher's stone, the primary ingredient in the elixir of life. Elsewhere, the star is concealed as a flower at the center of the maze at the Chartreuse Cathedral, and even in the US dollar itself, a seething mass of hidden secret symbols. The incredibly versatile symbol is called the Seal of Solomon because, so the story goes, it featured on a magical signet ring belonging to King Solomon. Supposedly, the ring gave him the power to understand the language of birds and animals and to conjure up spirits to do his bidding. The Star of David is a symbol of the Jewish faith, when it was also known as the Shield of David or the Magen David, only gained common use as recently as 1897. During the Nazi persecution of the Jewish people, stars made of yellow cloth were attached to their clothes. Although it had been intended to be a symbol of persecution, after the war, the skewed meaning of the symbol was itself flipped over and took on the opposite meaning, becoming a badge of honor and pride. In Tibetan Buddhism, this universally important sign makes its appearance as the Dharma Modhya of the Vajrayogini. This is a 3-dimensional hexagram with a Vajra at the center. The interior of the symbol is red, symbolizing bliss, and the exterior is white, signifying emptiness. So the red symbolizing bliss and the exterior white signifying emptiness. The 3 angular corners of the triangle represent the emptiness of cause, effect, and phenomena. The 6 smaller triangles stand for the 6 perfections: generosity, wisdom, concentration, effort, patience, and discipline. The smaller triangles at the top and bottom are empty, a reminder of the selflessness of all beings. Each of the 4 triangles at the sides has a small wheel of joy symbols inside them. These 4 joys are joy, perfect joy, the joy of cessation, and innate joy. So I thought that was really awesome. I like that description. And so let's read about the sigil of Ameth. The sigil of Ameth. Also called the seal of truth, also called the seal of the truth of God. Ameth means truth in Hebrew. The sigil of Ameth is an elaborate symbol containing an unusual 6-pointed star. The hexagram is normally constructed of 2 triangles, one upright and one upside down. The star in this sigil is made using 1 line. This would imply a powerful protection. In the center of the symbol is a 5-pointed star, and written in various places are names of angels and of God. The sigil is connected to the Enochian magic since Dr. John Dee saw the sign in a vision, which he believed had been given to him by angels, although the symbol predates the time of Dee by about 3 centuries. So I thought that was interesting because I've been seeing that one a lot. Yeah. So can explore those some more. It's fun to see. And yeah, one interesting thing that right before I pressed record on this video, I flipped my book open, and it opened to page 278 and 279, and this is like a little glossary or little section for birds. And I had written the other day about sparrow and raven, and those 2 are included on this page, but also stork and rooster, which is interesting. Yeah, with like my theme of continuity and life, death, and rebirth. And so, like, the stork, this is kind of fun too. Like, here's something, you may not know about stork and how it is connected to, like, the mythology about, like, the stork bringing the babies, and then also associated with reincarnation and transmigration of souls. So here's something fun about the stork. When parents think that their children are too young to be told how babies are made, the issue is fudged for a while longer, and the child is often told that a stork brings the infant. The image of the bird flying along, carrying the infant, or carrying the baby in a sling, is popularly used in christening cards and other artifacts, and in some of our shows. This affectation seems to exist across the world, even reaching into the mythology of the Plains Indians. The reason is unclear, but it might be because storks will happily live in close proximity to humans. In some parts of European, cartwheels are affixed to roofs to provide a stable base for the bird's nest. In some parts of Europe, cartwheels are affixed to roofs to provide a stable base for the bird's nest, and it is considered a bad omen if this migratory bird does not return to the same spot each year. The reddish-pink marks on the eyelids of a newborn child are often called stork bites. The stork is famously dutiful toward its parents, so much so that in Rome, a stork law, Lex Ionia, was passed to ensure that Roman citizens would emulate the bird and take care of their elders. In Egypt, the stork was associated with the ba, or the soul of a person, and the ba was depicted with the body of a stork and the head of a human. They believed that the soul could leave the body at night but would return at the same time every morning, a reference to the punctual nesting and migratory habits of the bird. It was for the same reason that the stork also came to be associated with reincarnation and the transmigration of souls. So that's pretty interesting. And here's something fun about the sparrow. Sadly, the sparrow has latterly become a not-so-secret symbol of the decline in the bird population and is held as an example of what can happen as a result of modern farming methods and the use of chemicals. Nevertheless, for thousands of years, the sparrow has held a close place in the hearts of people as a symbol of satisfied domesticity, living in close proximity with us, happy to share space, and being so much a part of the natural landscape as to be virtually unnoticeable. This close relationship between humankind and this small, unassuming brown bird led to a certain species of it being called the house sparrow, and is used in the Bible as an example of something that is cheap and plentiful, described as being sold 2 for a farthing. Although nevertheless important in the eyes of God, here the sparrow is a symbol of the importance of every living thing, no matter how lowly. The sparrow, because it breeds so prolifically, is sacred to the Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite. Sparrow eggs were used as an aphrodisiac, and Aristotle described the birds as wanton. Sparrows are also the birds of Cupid. So that's interesting. There's like some fertility and fecundity and potency there. Vitality, for revivification. So, and there's Raven, and Raven's all about magic and, wisdom. And it can symbolize death or being a messenger of death. So, that's interesting too. And the rooster, is connected to the sun. The rooster is part of a large group of former jungle birds from India and Sri Lanka and have been domesticated by man for at least 4,000 years. The reason for their widespread distribution around the world was due to their use in the sport of cockfighting rather than for the use as providers of eggs and meat. These qualities came later. The rooster would be easy to overlook as a bird of mystic significance. Nevertheless, there's a rich history of magical lore surrounding the bird. Its name, the cock, says it all, and it's no accident that the name of the bird is the same as a slang word for penis. The rooster is the ultimate masculine symbol. It signifies the sun, power, pugnacity, and sexual prowess. It appears as the head of the mystical Abarak symbol. These links with the sun are universal. The frilled red comb on the bird's head looks like sunbeams. And the rooster's aggressive stance made it a symbol for war for the Greeks and Romans. Aristophanes called it the chicken of Ares, the god of war. Many Christian churches have the rooster on their weather vanes. This is not only because the cock appears with the coming of physical light and therefore spiritual enlightenment, but also because the bird is a poignant symbol within the faith. It crowed once when Christ was born, again when St. Peter denied Christ, and it will crow again as a warning of the day of judgment. According to the Quran, conversely, the end of the world will be upon us when the cock stops crowing. All the solar power and masculine energy of the rooster made it fitting as a sacrifice to the god Apollo. Later, people believed that they could harness this energy by eating the bird, which explains in part why a bowl of chicken soup is said to have such a fortifying effect. In the East, cockerels are bred specifically to live in and around Shinto temples. The rooster also appears as one of the 12 signs of the Chinese zodiac, where the attributes of people born under the sign include enthusiasm and a sense of humor. Because of its association with lust and pride, the cockerel is not a favorable bird in Tibetan Buddhism and forms one of a trio of 3 poisons in the Wheel of Life. It stands alongside the serpent and the pig as a reminder not to become too attached to material things. That's pretty interesting. And the sun and the Celtic cross, the sun. So, and the cauldron came up today. The Celtic cross and the sun cross symbol. In the Celtic cross or ring cross symbol, a cross is contained within a circle. Very early versions of this cross found in Ireland do not show the arms of the cross protruding beyond the circle. The whole symbol is encompassed inside the circle, and in this case it becomes the ancient universal symbol called the sun cross, the wheel cross, or Odin's cross. This sign first appears at the very start of the Bronze Age. Among other things, it symbolizes the wheel and in China represents thunder, power, and energy. It also appears in the seal of the Babylonian sun god Shamash. The sun cross symbol also appears in ancient astrology. In modern astrology, it still signifies the planet and element of Earth. The cross represents the 4 corners of the planet, the elements and the directions, and the circle is the planet itself. Because it was the symbol of the sun, the king, and the highest temporal and spiritual powers, it was easy for the early Christians to adopt this pagan sign and incorporate it into the Latin cross. It is still used by bishops to bless a new church, draw onto the walls in sanctified water or oils at 12 different places around the church. The Celtic cross is frequently used as a grave marker or a war memorial, particularly in Celtic countries. Incidentally, the hot cross bun eaten specifically at Easter and popularly believed to represent the Christian cross is actually a pre-Christian origin. So in my Ostara video, I mentioned hot cross buns because that was a traditional food for the vernal equinox and Ostara. And that it represented like the 4 elements and the 4 directions and the 4 seasons and the 4 quarter holidays or the cross quarter. Yeah. The quarter holidays, yeah. So incidentally, the hot cross bun eaten specifically at Easter and popularly believed to represent the Christian cross is actually a pre-Christian origin. The Greeks, Romans, and ancient Egyptians all ate wheat cakes to celebrate the coming of spring. These cakes were circular, representing the moon or sun, with a cross that divided the cake into the 4 lunar quarters or the 4 seasons. Pretty cool. And the cauldron, of course, has been coming up a lot for me. And so I'll just go ahead and read that and share that. In understanding symbols, sometimes it is useful to simply look at the shape and see what it resembles. The traditional cauldron represents nothing so much as the belly of a pregnant woman, and unsurprisingly, the cauldron is an important female symbol all over the world. The circular shape of the cauldron gives another clue. The circle is a symbol of never-ending life and regeneration, and these themes recur repeatedly in stories containing cauldron symbolism. The way the cauldron is used also gives a hint about its symbolic meaning. Things are put into the cauldron, heated, and something different is taken out. The basic ingredients are transformed. Therefore, the cauldron also symbolizes germination and transformation. Traditionally, cauldrons have 3 legs. The number 3 in this instance represents the triple aspect of the great goddess, or the 3 fates. Shakespeare alludes to this when the 3 weird sisters, arguably the most famous witches in literature, cook up trouble at the beginning of Macbeth. In pre-Christian literature, there are countless legends featuring magical cauldrons, and it may be because of this that the cauldron has its witchy associations. Celtic tales tell of cauldrons that contain an unending supply of food or knowledge. The dead are frequently thrown into a magical cauldron of rebirth and climb out the next day alive once more. Mythical warriors and heroes who died in battle are restored to life in this way. Saradwin had a cauldron full of inspiration and magical powers. In India, a magic life-giving food called soma was brewed in 3 huge bottomless cauldrons. In Greece, there are tales in which an ordeal of initiation involves the person boiling in a cauldron, but after the rite, the initiate emerges with magical powers, including the gift of immortality. How fun is that? And I just flipped it back open to the bird page again, where it's raven, rooster, sparrow, and stork. And so I'll share a little bit about raven. Raven. The raven belongs to the most intelligent of all the birds. To give some idea of its intelligence, if the average IQ for a human being is measured at the 100 mark, then the average IQ of a raven is 138. Its linguistic skills are legendary, and it is possible that the raven can understand as well as imitate human words. It is this intelligence and the playful nature of the raven that makes it the ultimate symbol of the trickster. In some societies, the raven is as important as the eagle, and occasionally this blackbird even surpasses the golden one in terms of its symbolic import. Like the eagle, the raven has few natural predators except for man. Unlike the eagle, ravens will work together for the benefit of the group and so have come to symbolize the benefits of teamwork. Conversely, in Denmark, the term raven mother is a euphemism for poor parenting skills and stems from the notion that the bird waits to see the colors of its chick's feathers before starting to feed it. Even if the raven has never been taught to speak in human languages, its voice carries a surprisingly human inflection and tone. This led to a belief that the bird knew everything as personified by the ravens that belonged to the Norse god Odin, called Hugin and Munin from the words for thought and memory. The birds flew back to the god at the end of every day, where they whispered into his ears all the doings of mankind. Odin, also known as the raven god, had daughters, Valkyries, who appeared as ravens, and similarly, witches are said to be able to shapeshift into the form of ravens, which is how they travel anonymously to their meetings. More sinisterly, the raven is seen as a harbinger of death, as personified in the Morrigan, the great battle goddess of Celtic myth who takes on the form of a raven. The raven is a carrion bird and was often to be seen at the sites of battles, making a grim meal of the bloody remains of the defeated army. In addition, the spooky black appearance of the bird certainly lends itself to the dark imagery posited by horror stories. The idea of the raven as a bird of malice is promulgated by the Bible story that Noah first sends a raven to find land. The raven never returned, and so was seen to be no friend of man. The dove sent out next returned with a sprig of olive tree and has been beneficial omen ever since. The ravens sent out by Viking explorers in search of new land seem to have a better success rate than Noah's bird. However, and in some parts of northern Europe, the bird is seen as a helper of humankind. The ravens at the Tower of London are a symbol of protection par excellence. Birds have kept in this spot for over 1,000 years due to an ancient legend that the country would be safe from invaders while ravens remain there. Indeed, this idea is so firmly entrenched in the national psyche that when the raven population at the tower dwindled during the Second World War, Winston Churchill arranged that ravens be imported from Wales to keep the country safe. Despite its color, the ancient Greeks had the raven as a solar symbol and is dedicated to the goddess Athena and the god Apollo. In Native American belief, the raven is a symbol of the Creator and as such is a powerful protector of humankind. Myths tell that the bird not only made the universe but also discovered and looked after the first man. The shape-shifting abilities of the bird are mentioned here too, and as such, the raven is the preferred bird of shamans who converse with the birds in order to discover what the gods have in store for mankind. That's kind of fun. Yeah. So, what else can we share? Yeah, I like those, and they fit in well with, the energies and the qualities associated with this time of year and with the themes that are happening now. So, that's pretty awesome. And, let's see, let's be sure now. Strength. It is not a matter of belief, rather vitality, that forms the intimate heart of true knowing and shelters one from being devoured by ever-repeating patterns of anxiety, dread, and fear. Part of the initiatory lesson of this path, which confronts anyone who deeply enters its domain, is that there is nothing to fear. Strength teaches one to openly embrace the illusions created by fear with love, and in so doing, to begin the dissolution of fear's ability to haunt and torment. To fear is to be bound energetically by narrow and endless compressions of mind. Belief in any fear will only amplify its seeming reality. Snakes are creatures that evoke irrational fear in many. Their relation to the strength archetype suggests that only by discovering inner balance or the serenity expressed by the female strength figure will most irrational fears be overcome. Encountering fear trains one to distinguish between natural and unnatural impetus. Fears cannot be killed or ignored any more than one could calm an angry sea. They can only find their proper balance with right knowledge and wisdom based in love. Universal or true love dissolves all irrational fears and makes clear what the true circumstances are. In the image, the serpents or nagas take on the same action that protect Lord Buddha, shrouding him from the intense and blinding fire of spirit that could have overwhelmed his physical form. The hooded cobra protects the female, which allows the fire of pure spirit to be transformed into universal light. So I just flipped open my tarot revision book by Lee J. McCloskey, and that's what wanted to be shared. And that's interesting because, this is the great central cobra, projects its forked tongue outward in the shape of an omega symbol, suggesting duality and contrast. Its flared hood and fierce countenance reveal that instinctual and irrational fears can become monstrous force if negatively awakened and expressed. Strength teaches that the fount and source of consciousness is raw power whose serpentine energies cannot be battled aggressively, only navigated. It is not a matter of belief, rather vitality, that forms the intimate heart of true knowing and shelters one from being devoured by ever-repeating patterns of anxiety, dread, and fear. Wow, vitality. Wow. And just flipped it open to judgment now. So, Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. William Shakespeare, Macbeth. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. It's funny. Judgment. So, I talked about judgment last year because that came up a few times for me last year, and it is like I'm reminded of the quality of completion that it holds. So judgment is the 20th key in the Tarot Arcana and is represented astrologically by the planet Pluto, which Pluto is super interesting. It was super interesting to look into the renewer, the regenerator. Pluto is associated with transformation, the unknowable depths of the unconscious, and mass events. In Greek mythology, Pluto is the god of the dead and the underworld. There were no altars or temples erected in his honor, and sacrifices to Pluto were performed in secret in the dead of night. The Hebrew letter Shin is attributed to the archetype of judgment, whose symbol is a tooth or a fang. It functions as incisiveness, having the power to penetrate the illusion of separateness and the limitations of form. Tradition suggests that the letter Shin is life, breath of the divine ones, or Holy Spirit. Therefore, it is considered the holy letter. Primal fire is also attributed to this archetype. The mode of consciousness attributed to judgment is perpetual intelligence, which elucidates the fact that the intelligent guiding principle behind manifestation is constant. External forms emerge, develop, and decay, a cycle affecting not simply individual existence, but also the life and death of civilizations. Judgment has been called the path of the baptism of fire, suggesting a process of initiation or purification. From ancient times, fire has been synonymous with spirit, which, like perpetual intelligence, is immutable. Judgment is considered an activating path of the intellect which utilizes critical analysis or discernment to focus with the intention of mind for purposes of cultivating new patterns of perception, a process which cannot be forced, only nurtured. Judgment acts on a transpersonal level, which means that much of its influence and insight must be lived and allowed to follow inner cycles of development. Its activating of the intellect is knowledge based in wisdom, which liberates one from fear based thinking. Intellect should not be confused with rationalization. Judgment teaches trust in the innate timing of an inner process and development. Growth cannot be forced, or it becomes unbalanced and impermanent. The changes wrought by judgment forever alter the course and understanding of one's life. Resurrection or rebirth is connected to this path because judgment infers completion of a particular cycle of belief or ignorance. So resurrection or rebirth is connected to this path because judgment infers completion of a particular cycle of belief or ignorance. The fire of baptism revelation emancipates the individual in such a way that there is no returning to previous patterns of thought and action. This is very much in keeping with the energy of Pluto, which functions in such a way that once experienced, there is no going back. In the 20th century, the Plutonian energy of the atomic bomb, once manifested, made it impossible to return to the state of consciousness which existed before its cataclysmic usage. Knowledge or direct experience of one's inner nature is a principal ingredient of rebirth, which, like baptism, cleanses the eyes and heart to see past the delusions of this world with its self-created hells and hatreds. The energies of darkness are ever present within the self and the outer world. These shadows do not disappear, but they can be placed within their proper context. The level of importance or value attached to their existence is dependent upon the individual as to what degree they are considered real or true. The level of importance or value attached to their existence is dependent upon the individual as to what degree they are considered real or true. Judgment teaches that it is always a matter of choice. Nothing is imposed. An individual is never compelled to believe or not believe in anything. This is the difficulty of this archetype because it teaches that no outside agency is enforcing behavior or thoughts, no devil, demon, or fiends. The individual is entirely responsible for his own thoughts, actions, and deeds, a truth that most do not wish to face. Only through perpetual intelligence or timeless wisdom can this dilemma be resolved. The difficult task is developing inclusion rather than exclusion when seeking to know or learn of one's inner nature. The archetype of judgment draws back into the individual his projections of separating the good from the bad, the us from the them, establishing a link internally which recognizes that all energy is one, it is without limits. True judgment must include the whole. False judgment is an intellectual form of self-protection which rejects the parts it does not like or wishes to bury. The importance of the symbolism of Pluto should not be undervalued when trying to discern the meaning of this archetype. The transpersonal vibration of Pluto has the power to radically change the whole of the human condition, affecting Mother Earth and the race in radical and irrevocable ways. Its force is of such influence that it is almost impossible to gauge until after the fact. The energy of judgment in it is an integral part of the individual psyche that is deeply connected with the collective. The tidal changes within the race mind affect everyone, which is one of the reasons that it is often hard to detect its effect within oneself. So the energy of judgment is an integral part of the individual psyche that is deeply connected with the collective. The tidal changes within the race mind affect everyone, which is one of the reasons that it is often hard to detect its effects within oneself. Because of its transpersonal nature, this mode of consciousness makes the individual recognize that he is part of a much larger pattern, subject to the currents of the world and the time in which he dwells. All of the influences and energies of the collective move into and through the individual, which is why this path is related to fire and spirit. The boundaries of where the self begins and ends are conditional, not real. The baptism of the archetype of judgment moves one away from believing that there can be a separate discovery of the inner or spiritual center as an individual act, and toward a recognition that each person represents a small part of the larger picture. A picture which, when understood, grows into compassion for others who dwell in the darkness of ignorance and love for those who, in any age, represent the light of the world. This is the ideal of what mankind is capable of, even if it takes numberless eons to be born fully into time. Judgment awakens within the heart and mind when one recognizes that all humanity is one being, each individual rendering a distinct potential. All are necessary to the organism of humankind as a whole. This is the beginning of love for the human race, patience toward oneself, and knowledge that there is no perfection as a finished pattern, only eternal creative potential. The beauty and the gift of the human heart and mind take many forms and serve many functions. The archetype of judgment teaches that one seeking to know oneself and the mysteries of life is embarked upon a long and remarkable journey where one is never truly alone, but rather an active participant in the great work, also known as the eternal pilgrimage. I like that. And then the rest of it goes into the symbolism of the drawing, judgment. And maybe I'll just read the first paragraph in that one. Judgment represents a profound and complex continuum of energies. These energies are both recognizable and simultaneously so deeply hidden in the collective unconscious that they can never be entirely brought to light, let alone understood. The collective depths of the influence of judgment are without the familiar moorings of time-oriented points of reference. They are, in actuality, beyond the pale of human comprehension. The emphasis of this archetype demands that the transpersonal energies of Pluto, which is attributed to this path, first be appreciated as a force whose qualities are deeply connected with the tidal movements of world change. Often the effects of the influence of Pluto are recognized after the fact. Its motive force wells up from within, transforming the individual on an almost imperceptible level. Any transformation wrought from encountering its impress will be the type of change that disallows returning to previous models or patterns of thought, belief, and behavior. Wow. Any transformation wrought from encountering its impress will be the type of change that disallows returning to previous models or patterns of thought, belief, and behavior. Wow. I'm going to sit with that one for a minute. So I was just talking about, it's not possible to go back to what was. And because that's already, the only time we have is now. And also like going back to, something that's already passed. That's like spiritual and emotional and necrophilia and a frozen fantasy world. Sometimes we can't go back. Back to what was, because there's no going back. There's only forward. And there's only now. So that's interesting. Like, what can we create here and now? We can't go back to fix anything, but we can be here right now. And be with what is now, and respond to what is now, and be open to receive what is now, and to be accountable for, what we've created, for our creations. Every thought, action, deed, was our responsibility. And maybe we didn't know, but it's okay. We can forgive ourselves, and we can learn from our mistakes, and we can claim responsibility and accountability for what's been created, and we can create something new, create something more true, create something that's more aligned with who we are and what we know is true. And so I like that. There's some good stuff in there. What else can I share about that relates to my process and just everything that I'm opening to and inviting and discovering? So, this is one of the things, after going through the descansos, or just, the betrayal, rejection, abandonment, pain. How can I be more open, receptive, fluid, and allowing? And what am I willing to open to and reconsider, remember, surrender, renew, and forgive? So, descansos: betrayal, rejection, abandonment, pain, jealousy, envy, pride, vanity, guilt, humiliation, shame, lack of intimacy, fears of being seen and unseen, rejected, ridiculed, judged harshly, treated unfairly, targeted, scapegoated, crucified, and blamed, being harmed, wrongly accused, bad-mouthed, and shamed, afraid for myself, so I hid me and unend my authenticity, except when it fueled my need to please or my rebellious side that protected me and helped me to assert my will, my energy, my right to be. Sometimes through learned passive-aggressive ways and my need to be different, to go my own way. So, victim, martyr, judge, scapegoat, rebel mentality. So, yeah, and so temperance, the sun, and judgment came up today, and it was so cool to read about these archetypes and the wisdom so beautifully offered and expressed through Lee J. McCloskey in his book Tarot Revisioned. Thank you, love, for everything. Oh yes, and the 7th tablet of the Emerald Tablets yesterday. Damn Skippy, put that in your book, LOL. So I choose to expand into love and to hold more light consciously, naturally, organically, authentically, raising my own frequencies to become more of me, in service to the whole of humanity, and in service to love, in service to Creator, creation, and Mother Earth, my beloved self, for all, being one, being whole through all. And I refuse to play the scapegoat. I refuse to play the scapegoat for you for one moment longer. I will not agree to your limited beliefs, agendas, strategies, stories, and projections. I do not agree to carry or reinforce your toxic emotional garbage. Heal and attend to your own victim, judge, poverty consciousness of the lower beast hijacked ego. Grow in and out like a tree. Yeah. Grow in and grow out. I now allow myself to become more fully all I am. So, yeah, I can let that go. I don't need to be the shadow caregiver and the scapegoat. I don't need to fix things. I just get to be, and I get to respond, and I get to attend to what my being is asking of me, what love is asking me. I get to awaken my heart, open my heart, listen, and respond to what love is asking. Yeah. And offering and giving. Yeah, be open to that receptivity. So, yeah, that work with forgiveness is, trust, soften, remember, listen, and allow. And focus on the love and the possibilities, and be here now. So I like that inclusivity and that willingness to be accountable, and that willingness to surrender, and that compassion, for all things and for all parts of the whole, and for our healing, and that willingness to have compassion for those that are still in the darkness, in their ignorance, and then also knowing that we've been there as well, and it is awesome because we do hold it all. And so it's been laughing about the stupid, all the stupid stuff that's plentiful. Yeah, lots of comedy, lots of good material for humor, and yeah, lightening it up, lighten up, and lightening the hell up. And yeah, just realizing that it's all okay, and it's, just not take ourselves so seriously, and love will find a way. And just laughing about, some of the stuff out there, just realizing too that we've all been stupid, and we've all played at being stupid, and it's okay, because we were once stupid and we'll be stupid again probably, it happens. Wisdom cannot exist alone. And so it's just don't be so mad at stupid, just let stupid be. Stupid is as stupid does, and stupid is as a stupid will be. So, and maybe there'll be something to laugh about and to tell stories about later. Yeah, it's good stories. So just feeling a lot lighter about a lot of things since I wrote my poison pen letter and started on my forgiveness letter, and just kind of expanded on it, and expanded into me, and expanded and contracted and released. And that's part of the integration process and individuation. You need all parts for rebirth and resurrection, and renewal and regeneration. And so let's work with all the parts of the whole instead of working against ourselves. Damn it. Yeah. How would that be? It might be pretty sweet. full and free and authentically we. And the teamwork, that was pretty cool about the raven and teamwork and the stork and those patterns and all those things. And the sun and the cock. Yeah, and the cauldron. All those things. So, and the importance of all life, no matter how lowly, which the scarab was coming up as well. The scarab's another symbol for regeneration and resurrection and renewal and rebirth. And that's awesome. And humble beginnings, because of what the scarab does with the ball of dung that it rolls up and it lays its eggs in, and it rolls it towards the rising sun. And then new life is born as the light hits that ball, that circle, that is pretty much a symbol of itself, of the sun, on the earth, and the light comes forth from the earth, and the light and of the heavens, light of the earth, like the light of the heavens reflects the light of the earth, so it's macro micro. And so just how freaking amazing, and illuminating is that. So here's one last thing to share for today. This is the 7th tablet of Thoth's emerald tablets. Hark ye, O man, and list to my voice. Open thy mind space and drink of my wisdom. Dark is the pathway of life that ye travel. Many the pitfalls that lie in thy way. Seek ye ever to gain greater wisdom. Attain, and it shall be light on thy way. Open thy soul, O man, to the cosmic, and let it flow in as one with thy soul. Light is eternal, and darkness is fleeting. Seek ye ever, O man, for the light. Know ye that ever as light fills thy being, darkness for thee shall soon disappear. Open thy souls to the brothers of brightness. Let them enter and fill thee with light. Lift up thine eyes to the light of the cosmos. Keep thou ever thy face to thy goal. Keep thou ever thy face to the goal. Only by gaining the light of all wisdom art thou one with the infinite goal. Seek ye ever the oneness eternal. Seek ever the light into one. Hear ye, O man, list to my voice, singing the song of light and of life. Throughout all space, light is prevalent, encompassing all with its banners, it flames. Seek ye forever in the veil of darkness, somewhere ye shall surely find light. Hidden and buried, lost to man's knowledge, deep in the finite, the infinite exists. Lost but existing, flowing through all things, living in all, is the infinite brain. In all space there is only one wisdom, through seeming decided it is one in the one. All that exists come forth from the light, and the light comes forth from the all. Everything created is based upon order. Law rules the space where the infinite dwells. Forth from equilibrium came the great cycles, moving in harmony toward infinity's end. Know ye, O man, that far in the space-time, infinity itself shall pass into change. Hear ye and list to the voice of wisdom. Know that all is of all evermore. Know that through time thou may pursue wisdom and find evermore light on the way. Know that through time thou may pursue wisdom and find evermore light on the way. Aye, thou shalt find that ever receding, thy goal shall elude thee from day unto day. Long time ago in the halls of Amenti, I, Thoth, stood before the lords of the cycles, mighty they in their aspects of power, mighty they in the wisdom unveiled. Led by the dweller, first did I see them, but afterwards free was I of their presence, free to enter their conclave at will. Oft did I journey down the dark pathway unto the hall where the light ever glows. Learned I of the masters of cycles, wisdom brought from the cycles above. Manifest they in this cycle as guides of man to the knowledge of all. 7 are they, mighty in power, speaking these words through me to men. Time after time stood I before them, listening to words that came not with sound. Once said they unto me, O man, wouldst thou gain wisdom? Seek for it in the heart of the flame. Wouldst thou gain knowledge of power? Seek ye seek ye it in the heart of the flame. Wouldst be one with the heart of the flame? Seek then within thine own hidden flame. Many the times spoke they to me, teaching me wisdom not of the world, showing me ever new paths to brightness, teaching me wisdom brought from above, giving knowledge of operation, learning of law, the order of all. Spoke to me again the seven, saying, from far beyond time are we. Come, O man, traveled we from beyond space-time, I from the place of infinity's end. When ye and all of thy brethren were formless, formed forth were we from the order of all. Not as men are we, though once we too were as men. Out of the great void were we formed forth in order by law. For know ye that which is formed truly is formless, having form only to thine eyes. And again unto me spoke the seven, saying, child of the light, O Thoth, art thou, free to travel the bright path upward, until at last all ones become one. Forth were we formed after our order, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Know ye that these are the numbers of cycles that we descend from unto man, each having here a duty to fulfill, each having here a force to control. Yet are we one with the soul of our cycle, yet are we two seeking a goal. Far beyond man's conception, infinity extends into a greater than all. There in a time that is yet not a time, we shall all become one within a greater than all. Time and space are moving in circles. Know ye their law, and ye too shall be free. Aye, free shall ye be to move through the cycles, past the guardians that dwell at the door. Then to me spoke he of nine, saying, aeons and aeons have I existed, knowing not life and tasting not death. For know ye, O man, that far in the future life and death shall be one with all. Life and death shall be one with the all, each so perfected by balancing the other that neither exists in the oneness of all. In men of this cycle, the life force is rampant, but life in its growth becomes one with them all. Here I manifest in you this your cycle, but yet am I there in your future of time. Yet to me time exists not, for in my world time exists not, for formless are we. Life have we not, but yet have existence, fuller and greater and freer than thee. Man is a flame bound to a mountain, but we in our cycles shall ever be free. Know ye, O man, that when ye have progressed into the cycle that lengthen above, life itself will pass to the darkness, and only the essence of soul shall remain. Then to me spoke the Lord of the Eight, saying, all that ye know is but part of little. Not as yet have ye touched on the great. Far out in space, where light being supreme, came I into the light. Formed was I also, but not as ye are. Body of light was my formless form formed. Know I not life, and know I not death, yet master am I of all that exists. Seek ye to find the path through the barriers, travel the road that leads to the light. Spoke again to me the nine, saying, seek ye to find the path to beyond. Not impossible is it to grow to a consciousness above. For when two have become one, and one has become the all, know ye the barrier has lifted, and ye are made free of the road. Grow thou from form to the formless, free may thou be of the road. Thus through the ages I listened, learning the way to the all. Now lift I my thoughts to the all thing. List ye and hear when it calls. O light all-pervading, one with all, and all with one, flow thou to me through the channel. Enter thou, so that I may be free. Make me one with the all-soul, shining from the blackness of night. Free let me be of all space and time, free from veil of the night. I, a child of light, command, free from the darkness to be. Formless am I to the light soul, formless yet shining with light. Know I the bonds of the darkness must shatter and fall before light. Now give I this wisdom, free may ye be, O man. Living in light and in brightness, turn not thy face from the light. Thy soul dwells in realms of brightness, ye are a child of the light. Turn thy thoughts inward, not outward. Find thou the light soul within. Know that thou art the master. All else is brought from within. Grow thou to realms of brightness. Hold thou thy thought on the light. Know thou art one with the cosmos, a flame and a child of light. A flame and a child of the light. Now to thee gave I a warning. Let not the thought turn away. Know that the brightness flows through thy body, for I turn not to the dark brothers that come from the brothers of black, but keep thine eyes ever lifted, thy soul in tune with the light. Take ye this wisdom and heed it. List to my voice and obey. Follow the pathway to brightness, and thou shalt be one with the way. I like that. The Emerald Tablet, the Seven Lords, 7. So I'll paste a link in the comments section about that. And yeah, thanks for listening. That was just kind of fun, just to share a couple of different things like that related and that were coming up, like through different ways, like in images and visions and in gifts and books in my space, and like, yeah, just asking questions and then following intuition and then receiving what I asked for. And so let's ask for what we want, and yeah, and let's be in gratitude, and let's remember the light, the lightness and the brightness, and like the love that we really are, like in all that we really are, like all that we really are. Let's remember. And that's one thing that, yeah, that's actually one thing. There was, I can't remember where I was reading that, but it was like the truth isn't discovered, it's actually remembered. And yeah, maybe, yeah, I'm not exactly sure where I got that, but yeah, it was something that I read today or yesterday. And yeah, the sun was coming up. The sun was coming up. And it was amazing, like what I read in Lee J. McCloskey's book, in the Tarot Revision, about the sun. And so I'll just share this last little part about the sun from the Astrology Bible by Judy Hall. And then I'll say farewell for now and have a beautiful Easter weekend, celebrating, like, yeah, all of this rebirth, this renewal, this regeneration, this resurrection, and yeah, the new life that's possible, all the potential. Yeah, for us all. So the sun, the urge to express the self. The sun is the life force, vitality, and the indestructible self. It is the energy that holds together disparate parts of the personality until these can be integrated as an individual matures. The sun represents the search for a unique identity as expressed through the sign in which it is placed. Wherever the sun sits in the chart, the urge for self-expression is channeled out to the world through the sign and the house. The quality, polarity, and element in which the sun is placed have a strong impact on how this self-expression will flow. In negative signs, self-expression may be reticent or inhibited, although not necessarily blocked. In positive signs, ebullient self-expression is natural. Watery suns have difficulty in expressing aggression and in taking the lead, whereas this is as innate quality of fiery suns. Earth suns have little difficulty standing their ground, but are not innately aggressive, and airy suns may be assertive, but find difficulty in standing firm. A cardinal sun is the most outgoing in any element group, although this has to be balanced against a negative sign's natural reticence. So the sun, the eternal spirit, encircles the divine spark that resides in everyone, giving life and symbolizing the self and ego. And yeah, the sun rules Leo, which is, yeah, I was born on the cusp of Leo and Virgo, so that's pretty awesome. And in my chart, the sun is in my 3rd house, and that is like the house of siblings, and what is it? The 3rd house is about self-expression. Yeah, well, no, let's see. Communication. So the 3rd house, communication, it's the sphere of communication. The 3rd house embodies the beginning of self-expression. The sign and planets placed here either facilitate or restrict the flow, whereas the sign on the cusp indicates whether clear communication or confusion can be anticipated and how easily it will be to learn. Link to the rational left brain, the ninth house being abstract thought. The third house also describes the concrete function of a person's intellectual processes. If there is a strong emphasis on this house in the chart, acquiring new skills will be a motivating factor throughout life. So, yeah, that fits pretty well. So that's interesting. The sun and the self, the urge to express the self. The creative principle. The sun is the creative principle made manifest as shaped by the element in which the sun is placed. Earth suns express the creative principle practically and productively, shaping matter. In an air sign, the creative principle is expressed intellectually and inspirationally, shaping thought and words. Water signs express the creative principle emotionally and sensitively, shaping feelings. Fire signs express this principle actively and spontaneously, shaping life. Vitality. The placement of the sun in a chart shows the level of vitality that is available to the personality. In a receptive negative sign, vitality flows gently and consistently, but huge amounts of emotional energy are expended in water signs. In air, the energy is intellectual and fire physical. In an active positive sign, vitality flows strongly and abundantly, but reserves of energy become depleted and have to be renewed. The sun also shows how the personality deals with disappointment. In fire and earth signs, resilience is strong. Ever optimistic, fire signs quickly bounce back, earth signs patiently endure. Water signs, however, can be wiped out as their confidence is rarely strong enough to deal easily with disappointment. Air signs may need time to regroup until stimulated by something new. So the father. The sun symbolizes the father, either as a parent or authority figure, and significant male influences. An individual's expectation around fathering is described by the zodiac sign colored by the element. So that's interesting too. And so the sun in Aries is spontaneous, self-expression, self-oriented, selfish, energetic, brash, and outgoing. The sun in Aries indicates a personality that bounces back from setbacks but abandons tasks. And yeah, that's kind of interesting too. So yeah, there's a lot of fun things that are going on with the astrology right now. And I was just reading a little bit ago that Mercury is in Pisces right now, but it will actually be joining like 5 others in Aries. So I think Venus, Chiron, the Sun, and Mercury and Venus will all be together soon, and that should be super interesting. So yes, thank you for listening and for sharing this journey with me. I love y'all, and I hope you're well. Hope you're being good to yourselves and taking care of yourselves. All right. We'll talk to you again soon. All right. Bye for now.